Hello, everybody. Welcome to First Time
Hi.
Donor, the charity gaming podcast where we talk about all the ways that you can do good in the world using what you have right now. As always, I am joined by my wonderful co host, Monica.
Hi, I go by OMG It's Monica on Twitch and Twitter. And welcome to episode 2, where we
Woo!
are interviewing the fantastic Romscout,
Let's
Andrew
go.
Schroeder.
Hello. I'm Romscout. I guess since we follow your intro, I go by Romscout on Twitch, but Romscout SDA on Twitter because someone
Ooh.
is very good at sniping. But and I see probably in line with a little bit of what we'll talk about today. I do see Waza brought a few people from the VGM community to chat.
Woo!
Lovely to see you here. Thank you for joining. But
Hey, thank you for
yeah,
hanging
happy to be
out.
here.
Yeah, we're happy to
Thanks so
have you.
much for agreeing to talk about, everything that we were talking about before. So, just to start us off, would you mind letting everyone know, I guess, a bit about your background and how you got involved in charity gaming and kind of where that journey has taken you so far?
Sure. So back in the ancient times, as they call it, right? The pre 2010s.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I did get into Let's Plays on YouTube, and then another forum, and then I went into the speedrun community on Speed Demos Archive a little bit, and we would occasionally watch these streams that were like the Desert Bus for Hope. Zeldathon actually started a few days before us, if you can believe it, at James Done Quick. So
I
we
had
we
no
had
idea,
watched
to
these.
be honed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had watched these other events before, and um, we had been saying it as a community that since we had a meetup at Magfest already, we would start doing a charity event there as well because it seemed popular, and we wanted the focus at the time to be much more on the games
Nice.
than
Mhm.
just uh, kind of like a variety show, which is what the others were at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted to just be primarily focused on the games and being able to do cool, challenging things with the games. So yeah, that spawned Games Done Quick. It was a group of like 15 of us. Had to relocate to a basement because of hotel internet issues, but we
Ooh.
we
It's
made it
usually the
work.
other
It
way
was very
around.
cramped.
Truly
Yeah.
doing good with what you had.
Really?
So yeah, Games Done Quick ended up becoming an organizer there, and eventually running. So starting with Japan Relief Done Quick, I'd say the tsunami in Japan in 2011 was really the thing that pushed me to just go all in on this stuff, and eventually running Summer Games Done Quick, which was the second Games Done Quick event. Eventually working at Twitch, I think from 2014 to last year, and started a charity program there. So we would
Nice.
work with content creators from all over the place to do new charity campaigns, work on technologies with other companies to make the tools easier to use for people, to provide more resources that people can raise for the causes they believe in. So
Yeah.
that was a big part of my job the last 6 years or so, up until last year, and now most recently I'm at Direct Relief, and I'm working on digital philanthropy there. Working a lot with Broken MC, who obviously everyone here knows. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and just always look forward to meeting new communities. Always look forward to learning more, not only about charity and causes in general, but just about people that we get to hang out with, and cool talents that I didn't even know people had to be able to raise money for charity. And it's really cool to see it all come together over the last decade.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Is that
Um,
you mentioned some of those programs that you set up with Twitch. I'm curious, are those still around today, like in some form?
Yeah, actually, it's evolved, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So Alley Cat is another Twitch streamer, and she ended up working on the team with me over there.
Really?
But now it's expanded into a social good program, like social impact program at Twitch, beyond just charity streams. It's also diversity, equity, inclusion.
Nice.
It's bringing eyes onto causes and streamers who normally wouldn't be able to have that opportunity. So yeah, it's expanded quite a bit actually since I left.
We love to hear that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. I know she's been doing a lot of outreach with zoos that I didn't even consider as nonprofits, and that was kind of
Really?
an oversight on me, to be honest. Yeah.
That's wild. I haven't
So I
heard
know
about that.
Toronto Zoo does a lot of streaming on Twitch actually, and it's
What?
really cool to actually get that behind the
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a really cool behind the scenes insight. Their TikTok is phenomenal as well.
They have a
AJ, definitely recommend it.
I'm so excited. I've never heard about this before. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
totally. And then another fun TikTok that I found recently, I recommend to you, AJ, is the
Yeah.
Olympic TikTok. It's just all memes.
Oh,
It's great.
we love that. We love
But
to see it.
yeah, speaking of talents as well, I want to congratulate you on wrapping up the direct relief sessions. Those were
Yeah.
so fun to watch. Huge congrats to you, Campy, and MC, and Steve. I
Well,
know how
I was
hard.
gonna say, you're really congratulating the VGM community because they're the ones that raised. I'm
True.
actually looking at it now. $17,460
Wow.
over a week, and
Yeah.
yeah, that even includes some Zeldathon regulars. I know Sab raised for us.
Yeah.
Jackson was in there. Doug, Doug Perry.
Doug Perry.
So yeah, had some Zeldathon regulars popping in as well for that, which was pretty awesome.
That's so cool.
I know Dan came on pretty last minute, but it was great to just
really?
see everyone come together and yeah, just reinforce that love that VGM together really just reminded us all of how awesome the VGM community is. And yeah, truly it felt like such a cool event.
Yeah, it's just like I think a lot of us are starting to see now over the last few months, especially that especially a platform like Twitch or anything where we can interact with each other, we do need to expand it a lot more beyond just gaming and really
Of course.
let all of ourselves out. And so I think platforms in general, like Twitch, are just starting to take notice of that and trying to diversify not only the type of people that show up on their front page or their promotional channels, but also just the diversity in content, the diversity, and even when we're putting together the list of people who would be participating in direct relief sessions, we were looking at diversity in music. Like obviously, this kind of stuff Doug Perry does is way different than like Family Jewels.
True.
Like it's not even remotely close. But they're both very fun and different styles of music to engage with in a stream. So yeah, I think that really that's just where we're headed, and direct relief sessions kind of fit perfectly into that trend.
That's so cool.
Speaking of communities coming together, I just want to pause and say thank you so much, Hermione, for coming together to hang out with us during the podcast recording as well. And then just focusing, because first-time donor, we really like to highlight just doing good with what you have. How was it working and just starting another kind of new event, especially from your perspective as being someone who has run so many events, both in person and online? So I know you mentioned a lot of the people who volunteered their time for it hadn't streamed that much. So how is it organizing everything, and what did you learn? How is it different from organizing a GDQ?
Yeah.
It's actually funny because the style of communication and just like guidance that we provided in for direct relief sessions actually fit closely with what I was talking about when we were doing the Japan relief event like a decade ago. Because back then I was actually teaching people how to stream on the spot. Luckily, I didn't need to do that this week because I'm not sure it would have worked out. But, yeah, like back then I was just teaching people how to stream in order to prepare for this event that a lot of the community wanted to participate in. And so I was able to take some things that I just haven't used in a while and was able to work with those luckily. But what I learned certainly is that, even beyond just what I learned in terms of putting together an event, very clearly seen that people just want to help, and they really
Yeah.
just want to be able to have the tools and the platform to do so. Like,
True.
especially the VGM community. But I know there's so many people out there right now who want to make a big difference, and they just need to have some quick direction that lets you know, like, hey, you can like in like 5 minutes or so start a Tiltify account, link it to your Twitch, and then link it to the Directory of Sessions campaign, and boom, you now have a tool. We can help you customize it how you want, and get some ideas with you for incentives. But yeah, like it's really quick now if you know how to stream. Once you get past that initial step, which I think is a big hurdle still,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be understated. Like, just the initial step from never streaming before to regularly streaming is pretty big
Yeah.
in the current landscape. But regardless, like, once you get past that step, it's really quick now. It is very easy to set up a charity stream, and I guess I learned a little bit about how to use Tiltify a little better. That was one thing. So then, as I got through the week, people got better advice, definitely.
We love that.
As they're asking questions. Like, I was a little more efficient about giving advice. So,
Yeah.
yeah, each type of event we do like this in the future is definitely going to be a lot smoother. And I think everyone seemed to have fun already, and everyone seemed very appreciative of the director of staff as well as their own communities. So I expect that just to go even like more in the future.
That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, it's so cool to like just still be able to learn so much ongoing and just experience new and different things.
Yeah,
I guess
oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, yeah, even for me, like yeah, I knew of these people. A lot of them I actually did not know until the VGM Together event you've mentioned a few times. Like, that brought out a huge awareness to me of the VGM community, even though we had already been planning this event. Like, we didn't think about it as fully until VGM Together happened. We saw the potential that
Yeah.
the community had to really just bring everyone else together. So yeah, I've definitely learned that. And then now I have like 10 new streams I'm just gonna pop into regularly. That's
love
that's
that.
another fun part of it.
Yeah, it's hard to understate the
I think
impact too of like, events like these happen, events like VGM Together and events like we put on at Zeldathon and events like Games Done Quick and all sorts of stuff like that. But it's hard to measure, but also shouldn't be understated the impact that can spread from that. For instance, like someone sees Doug Perry at VGM Together and is like, wow, I've never seen this guy before. What a crazy, awesome percussionist. And starts tuning into his streams. And then he goes and does another charity event that this person now learns about through Doug Perry. It's like infectious almost.
I
Also,
think that's one of my
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think that's one of my favorite things about the charity community on Twitch and just in general. How it brings people together. And like you said too, you didn't know about so many of the VGM community, and it's just so cool to see that happen and everyone kind of just become friends online and get
Yeah.
used to knowing each other. And like you said, just new streams you're gonna hang out in.
Like, didn't
Yeah, I mean, at the core of the charity efforts that and the philanthropic efforts in the digital space is just community building.
yeah,
Like ultimately, what you are doing is just building communities that believe in the same things and want to work towards the same goals. So,
that's true.
and they have a lot of different shapes and sizes and cross over quite a bit as it turns out. But luckily, with all the platforms we have now, we're able to like kind of make that work a little bit. But
Yeah.
it's a learning process constantly. But
course.
yeah, I always love just getting to learn new communities. Like another great one that was back when I worked at Twitch, but had a huge impact, I'd say, even just on my life beyond work, was when we decided to do an Able Gamers Community Spotlight. And it was a very similar style event, but we went after streamers who had accessibility issues but overcame them in order to stream. So there's a person who even played like fighting games online against other people blind and would occasionally win. Yeah. Like,
Oh.
That's wild.
So yeah, Able Gamers is one of my favorite nonprofits, by the way. So
That's awesome.
that's one that people should always be aware of. Just trying to bring accessibility to gamers around the world.
Absolutely. And I think it's really cool when you do see bigger gaming companies reaching out and consulting people at those organizations just to see what they can do. And just, it's really cool that Twitch is something that can raise awareness for organizations like that and actually let those huge companies know that they exist. And those are the voices that they need to bring to the table.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess,
There's also been a huge up, like, since that nonprofit started working with companies and Microsoft made the accessibility controller. You do see a huge increase in companies that are hiring an accessibility consultant within the gaming
Yeah.
industry, which was not a position that existed like very much even 5 years ago.
and it's so huge
true.
and so needed because video games clearly bring people together, contrary to belief. I
Of
mean,
course,
unless
yeah.
it's Mario Party, right?
I don't know. You playing Pokemon Stadium? I'm not sure sometimes.
So I was playing at Pokemon Stadium against Romscout, and I tried to style on him and faint his final Pokemon by confusing it and having it finish off itself.
Oh,
And it was greedy of me, and then I was my own downfall in that
Monica,
match.
you can't BM the charity rep. Come on.
I fully deserved what I got.
Did you lose?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
she
lost.
did.
I got overconfident.
That's
I
great.
guess another fun question that I wanted to ask you, because I know I mentioned to you that you worked with Family Jewels for
Yeah.
direct relief sessions,
Mm.
and you didn't know that he was someone who speedruns Banjo-Kazooie, and you had a bit of a surprise with that. Like, yeah, you surprisingly popped off, but I guess
Yeah, I mean,
what
it's
are
not something
similarities and
it's not something he advertises. Like
True.
yeah, Crypto the Necro Dancer. Yeah, that's cool. Like, never mentions Banjo Kazooie.
yeah, oh, the fact that he recorded music for
Right?
a Nintendo game too. Like, he's so cool.
That's awesome.
But I guess something I wanted to ask you about now that you've worked so much with speedrunning, obviously that's where your roots are, and you've worked with VGM community now too. What are similarities and differences that you notice within the two?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot, but just because the very foundation of what the communities are based on, right? Like trying to compete and reset a game over and over. But I will say that what the big similarity between the two is how collaborative they are with their projects. Like
Yeah.
in VGM, obviously you have people doing like covers. Like you even had one on the docket. Obviously you can explain this much better than I will, but yeah, people obviously come together and record as a team, edit videos together as a group, and they make these beautiful pieces that would not be possible without every single person contributing. And even though on the surface you don't see that in speedrunning, it's very much there because the leaderboards that you see isn't just people competing. It's also people communicating on Discord. I think Monica, you've mentioned the Zelda science Discord that you've been in before, where people research glitches. They just look into the code of the game.
I love that.
Yeah, so there's communities like that within speedrunning. People who research the games and make resources widely available to everyone to be able to either play the games better or just be able to come up with new ideas for how to make the games more fun for the community. So it does tie over a lot with the collaboration. I'd say the biggest difference though is just I guess the tone and the style that the events that these communities put together go with. Like speed running, when you watch it, it's a performance that's I mean, I guess that's not similar to performance of the skill, but the interaction with chat is largely tied to communicating with the donation host, right? Like the donation host is going to be reading donations, and that's a thing in every charity event. But that is like the primary way to communicate between people playing the game on the couch versus people who are at home watching. And in the VGM events, I honestly, music is a language in its own that it doesn't matter what other languages you speak, so you can vibe with it. But aside from that interaction, yeah, you do see a lot of people do put more of an emphasis on directly reading chat in addition to in between their sets, in addition to reading the donation comments. I feel.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's kind of
So.
tricky because like going into an event like that, especially using the format that Twitch has really like kind of pioneered, being, you know, the gameplay sort of serving as the feature while you, the viewer, can donate and have your donations read live on stream. I'm sure that could be a little confusing sometimes, especially like specifically for the VGM community, because you know you're not gonna like interrupt somebody's set to be like, hey,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, this person at home sent in $20. So was that like at all a concern?
They actually do that occasionally.
Do they really?
Mind.
Is it like a big enough donation?
It's either that or just they balance their audio well enough that they're comfortable just having the person, especially if it's a song with no lyrics, then
good point.
Yeah, they can just jump in or you're still getting to hear the whole thing.
I hadn't even thought about that, but that is that is absolutely also an option. You can't have music and voice.
That's another thing that I've kind of learned through working with a bunch of different communities on stuff. There's always another option that you didn't think of, and somebody in this group is going to think of it, especially VGM. Like they're just creative by default and just the normal day-to-day process that they have, right? So It's just like they're going to come up with something like most people wouldn't think of when they're faced with a problem that comes up during the event. Pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, problems during events, GDQ, you had to pivot and move it to a basement. So what was it like just going through, I would say, massive growth when you were there too? And like, what was that experience like? And just seeing it take off and being there for that.
Yeah, it was tricky for sure because when you start with a small staff, if somebody gets sick, that's like everyone's month is rearranged, right? So, yeah, and we started out with a very few staff, and it was all volunteer at first, up until it started getting to the point where I think Mike Uyama just could not even get to his normal job anymore. Like he could not even make it there because of how much time organizing this took. So that's the point where we did have to shift to having contracts with the charities in order to do the events. But yeah, that shift, it was a long process of going from I think the longest I've stayed up in an event is like 65 hours in a row or something.
Oh
like
my
just
gosh.
basically doing work the entire time.
What?
To then eventually trying to build out a staff. And you get bumps along the road. You realize things about your own communication style that don't work with everyone. You realize that there are things you didn't even think of organizing or things you took for granted that are just in your head all the time that other people don't necessarily think of all the time and need to see on a sheet, right? So there's a lot of skills that I think everyone picked up in that whole process, but at the same time, like it was worth it the whole way. I think the just the feeling I have from back in like HGQ 2014 when we broke the $1 million mark for the first time.
I was there for
something
that.
I'll
I
never
watched
forget.
that.
Being there in person, like it was so surreal. Like I did not even feel like I was on Earth anymore for that next hour. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, like that whole feeling brings together the entire community that takes part in that event.
That's true.
And so and it keeps us working harder even when we face problems together. So that's yeah, I'd say that is kind of how the transition went. It was definitely bumpy. There's definitely a lot of things I would never like repeated again, but hey, you know, we got through it, and hey, look where everyone is now.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Wow. So
that's so cool too. And Sorry, go ahead, AJ.
No, I was just gonna say we've been mentioning this a little bit, and I don't think I've ever heard about this. I want to make sure I heard this right. You said that you had to take at some point, you had to move an event from a hotel to a basement.
Yeah, that's the very first GDQ, actually.
Oh wow!
Classic games done quick. I believe there's a recording from, if you ever want to just watch it out of curiosity, there's a recording of a panel that Mike Uyama, Breakdown, and I did at HGQ 2019 or 2020.
Uh-huh.
And we just were going over the origin story of GDQ in about an hour, and then included Mike's mom at the end because she had to give up her house basically for the event.
What a hero!
But yeah, no, yeah. So effectively what happened was like they Magfest like switched hotels or something to the Gaylord, I think, because they had just grown so big, or no, it was the hotel had switched the internet provider the week before, and then they just like didn't have anything set for the event because I think we're like one of the only online aspects of the event. So yeah, that's it was just unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
And the first 3 hours of the stream we had no audio once we actually did get it going in the basement, but still raised money for that. And then a bunch of us cramped in a basement and enjoying every second of it, as far as I could tell. And it's all you also get to see if you want to see sleeping cam. That is, there's like 5 instances of that throughout the event. Someone sleeping directly on camera on the couch.
We are not strangers to sleeping cam at Zeldathon either, as I'm sure you know. Oh man, that's funny. Wow. Yeah, I had to ask because usually charity events go the other way, right? Usually if your event starts in your mom's basement, getting a ballroom at a hotel is like you made it. That's the if you can afford a venue and still have a net gain.
It did quickly flip back. It did quickly go back to a community center and then hotels, but I think what we learned from that experience though was that like this needed to be our event, right? As a community, this needed to be our event that we're in control of and we can be in the whole process for, and not rely on like another community to just like host us basically.
Yeah.
In order to make it the most effective it could be. So that was the big takeaway from that.
Yeah,
and that's no disrespect to Magfest either, because they were,
of course.
The staff back then was like, working with us the best they could. It's just like, the circumstances, things go wrong sometimes, and you need to be aware of them.
Yeah, that can be tough too. Kind of getting that, because I think a lot of people do think that they need that support, that like backing assistance of a larger organization or group of people or something to be successful yourself. But in the end, the ones that end up really doing it, the ones that end up really doing it have that like self-sustaining community, and that's such a cool thing to see, and we see it in events like we've talked about, like Games Done Quick. We've seen it with VGM together recently. It's happening more and more, and I think that's a really good thing overall for like the charity gaming scene.
That's such a cool thing too, because like always it doesn't matter about the event, it's the community that's there, because Magfest dissolve, but then we saw Doug and Nij throw together VGM together. Like they had that idea in January, and the event came together in March, and it was phenomenal. And it was so cool to see that many people together hanging out and brought together and sharing their experiences and their love for music.
Yeah,
and I mean, accessibility was also a big part of it. I mean, you and I talked a lot about how so many people were saying like, because of accessibility reasons or whatever, like cost, won't be able to ever attend a convention like this in my life. So the fact I can do it in VR, or like be able to hang out in Discord with people while watching other streams in an organized way is like super cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
of that took place in VR chat, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I was on the volunteer team. for it. And overwhelmingly at our post meeting, what we heard from so many people who watched it was just, yeah, thank you for making an event that I could access, because I had always wanted to go to a Meg, but couldn't for X reason. And I truly felt like I was there and included. And like that really
So
struck
cool.
me. And
Yeah, that's a big
you
deal.
see so many, yeah, like you see so many older generations thinking like when someone's sitting at their computer, they're completely alone and
Mm-hmm.
just by themselves, but it's completely the opposite. And then COVID happened, and then they learned.
Yeah. Do you think we could see more?
I guess that was gonna. Sorry,
I was
AJ.
just gonna say, do you think we could see more organizations than just like VGM together doing that? I don't know if others have done it yet. That was the first that I saw of it, but you know, hosting
that was
those
the
kind of
first I
virtual
saw of it.
conventions,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
With the
feel
VR
like
chat.
it could be a
Mm-hmm.
thing now that the content's out there. I mean, it wasn't like heavily
Yeah.
promoted or anything particularly, but like now that it's out there, like yeah, people will probably start taking some pieces of it at least and putting together their own events a little more. I also feel in general, a lot of communities are that normally would do like in-person events
Uh-huh.
are now like I guess Zeldathon would be included in this, right? Are now trying to look
Yeah.
at ways on how to have a digital event and pieces of digital content added on to their regular in-person events throughout the year, so that
Yeah.
more of the community can participate in the efforts rather than only restricted to whoever's at the in-person events.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, because that's something we had mentioned too for Zeldathon.
Mm-hmm.
I was chatting with Clinkett about it earlier, and she was saying just the fact that it is digital now, we're able to reach so many more people who we would have loved to have at the marathon before, but it was way too far for them to travel, or it's too
Yeah.
disruptive to have to take that much time off work to go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. Whereas now, you know, someone can just sign up for a like 4 to 8 a.m. shift and be ready for your 9 to 5 by the time you finish your Dark Souls speed run. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess one other question I had for you just about changes throughout the years is how is it like working with older generations at Twitch, like when you were there, and or even at GDQ, and communicating with them, people who weren't that used to the concept of watching games together online or even knowing what a speedrun was?
I adapted pretty quickly to how I would communicate the story of what's happening, right? So to gamers that you talk about speedrunning, you then explain maybe what speedrunning is, and you go into all that detail, and then talk about the community at large. And with people who have no idea what anything in video games are, you compare it to a telethon. You compare it to, to things they've seen before. You then try and get them to understand. It's usually not just a one conversation thing, right? It's usually like a thing you want to show them a stream. That's once I could start watching streams regularly off my smartphone. That's when it became a lot more fun to explain to older generations, because you literally just showed them like, hey, look, they're doing this thing. They're about to get a pie in their face, and look at what the emotes that people are using in chat.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, an emote's just another language you're never going to understand. Don't worry about it. Like it's a lot of fun to do it that way, and then make them see like, yeah, it's more than just the telethon. It's like evolved from that into just direct interaction, like interactivity between what's happening on the screen and then what people are able to do from home. So yeah, it became more fun over time to explain to people how that all works. I did find that one thing that was a struggle for a lot was just, I mean, it's going to be for anyone who's a small team, as we've been talking about the events, even just the amount of work that needs to be put in simply engaging with the community regularly and making it just being a part of it. Basically, if you're going to ask them to help your philanthropic efforts, then you're also going to have to engage with them regularly. You're also going to really, I mean, you have to want to be there just as much as they want to be with you, right?
Of
So
course.
that's it, and that's something that took a while to kind of help at least particular organizations in the industry shift to realizing, but I think that more and more of them are now, and you are seeing much more positive interactions that that communities that run events might be saying about what they do with charities now. Like the like I know you've popped off about how well Anthony worked with you guys for the charity water event in the last Zeldathon side quest. So that, yeah, like more and more organizations are getting really good at it and realizing that this is more than just like asking people to fundraise for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so huge, and it's so nice when charity reps actually put in the time to connect with us like Anthony did. And that way we're so much more familiar with what they're doing, and we can explain it in a much more earnest way to our community
Yeah.
and educate them on the charity. Because like that's what AJ and I were talking about in the first episode as well, as
Yeah.
so many people who watch Twitch are young, a lot, and from different parts of the world. A lot of their first interactions to certain charities or their first knowledge of certain charities happen from these events. And
Yeah.
just the people who they know and regularly watch are the ones introducing them to that.
Yeah. Like I know when I found
Yeah.
when I found events like Games Done Quick when I was young when I found Games Done Quick, but I stuff like that. Like before that, I knew about like St. Jude Children's Research Hospital because we got stuff in the mail from them sometimes, and that was like
Yeah, and they're on every YouTube video.
That's also true. And that, oh my gosh, you're right. I forgot about that too. Wow, you're taking me back. But that was that was like it. That was really all I knew about, and I'm a prime example of that. I would be surprised if I knew about organizations like Direct Relief and Help Hope Live and Charity Water and all these like different organizations that are so cool and do so much good in the world. That otherwise I just like, sometimes your worldview just doesn't expand to reach that based on the conditions you were raised in. So it's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that I think a lot of people are realizing, like they have the power to actually help with digitally, even though it isn't something that we see at a surface like, oh, we can solve this right now. It's like, yeah, you can do things to make the digital space more accessible, more welcoming to people who wouldn't normally engage with it. And so, yeah, it is a two-way street always. And it's not just about the older generations, as we've spoken about, that primarily work at a lot of these older nonprofits. It's not just about them adapting. It's about our communities adapting as well to be able to engage with them better and make them feel, happier about what they're engaging with.
Of course.
It's so cool just seeing how many more organizations are getting familiar with it too, just in ways that they're ready to interact with us. Like all the ones coming onto crowd control recently, when Breast Cancer Research Foundation did the Mercy skin, that was awesome.
That was a big deal.
Your girl is an Overwatch nerd. That was huge. And
I remember that.
So cool to see that.
Yeah.
And then as well, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't actually have anything. Don't worry. I was winging it.
I was going to say too, it's also cool to see so many more organizations just actually finding someone to be a community manager and outreach to the digital community to let us work with them. Like, I know you mentioned Steve started the Direct Relief Gaming. Like that was huge because Direct Relief is a huge organization, and just seeing how that's grown now too.
Yeah, I think we should clarify though. Brooke and MC, I know, stayed up quite a long time and put together a presentation for Direct Relief's board as well. So it wasn't just Steve. Steve did help push it though, certainly.
That's awesome. I didn't know that they presented to the board. Oh my god, that would have made me so nervous if I had to do that. Let's go.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort put into making the Direct Relief Gaming program, certainly.
That's awesome. The titans of the charity gaming universe there.
Seriously.
Wow.
Yeah, and just seeing more organizations adapt like that, because obviously St. Jude Play Live is one of the bigger ones, but then just seeing it happen at more organizations now too.
Yeah, I think in Direct Relief's case, the reason they have been able to stay adaptive for so long is just because their hiring and the amount of resources they use. Like they have a perfect charity navigator score or whatever for a reason, right?
Oh yeah.
The hiring they have is very limited, and it's based on like what are we not able to do anymore that can help people. Like that's the baseline. It's just like what can we do to help people, and if we're not able to do everything we can in this avenue of doing that, then we need to hire someone so that we can accomplish that. And even now I think they only have like 110 employees, maybe even a little under that.
Wow.
After all this time, which when you see how much you see them online, then you wouldn't believe that. But it is 110 people and a very large international network of like health centers and medical companies, stuff like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's we mentioned briefly a little bit there about like organizations realizing the importance of something like a community manager, and that's a big deal. This is no longer something that you just kind of like pawn off to your underpaid intern who's like, like just like respond to some tweets every once in a while. That's all you gotta do. Like there's more to marketing than that. There's more to putting yourself out there than that. And I think it's so funny how many people like either still think that's how it works or just how many organizations still do that.
Well, you do have to understand from the organization standpoint, at least in the US, the number of restrictions that they face with how they spend their money and how that's tracked and gauged
that is true.
It does limit them in what they can do in avenues like digital communication. They don't think to hire because you are bound essentially by this rule that everything you raise, as much of it as possible, needs to go directly into the cause. And the cause it can be interpreted in varying degrees of like how limited it is, right? So like somebody might say like, well, we're trying to cure cancer. Well, I mean, what does that involve though? That involves building a huge network of like research around the world that can help accomplish that, right? But like people don't necessarily they're not always able to feel empowered to connect the dots from well, in order to do that, we need to build an international network of some kind. So
of course,
it's, I mean, obviously it doesn't quite work that way with that example I'm giving, because most of the cancer research ones are just huge and working on a scale like that. But you get where I'm going with it. So
of course.
I think it's resource sharing and comes full circle to what we started off talking about too. It's the communities coming together and then just reaching out and seeing who's cool, who you haven't really interacted with yet, and then looking at what you're all able to come together to achieve.
So if you're listening to this, your takeaway from this episode should be, if you're trying to make a difference with what you have, don't be afraid to send some emails. Like, slide into some DMs, be like, hey, like, I think what you do is cool. Like, you got a network, it's building a community on a platform like Twitch is like trying to find a job. You just need to ask as many people as you can and just get yourself out there. And that's important. And I think a lot of people tend to kind of like, they sort of look to the end, right? They look to the GDQs and the VGM togethers and all these big things that are happening, and they're like,
I mean, that's the entry point for most people.
That's true. It's not their fault. It's just the first thing they see, and they're like, wow, I want to rent a ballroom at a 5-star hotel and eat 6 a.m. hotel breakfast for dinner because our stream is live 24 hours a day and it's going to be awesome. And there's a ramping up point to that, which can be just as enjoyable and just as impactful as well. So that's something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. I think
I was gonna lament for Brooke and MC on the amount of times they've had to run events themselves and just like produce everything for it and everything. It's
oh my gosh,
it's a lot. And doing 24 hours. They were the first ones I saw actually. kind of make a huge adaptation from, you know what, we're not going to do 24 hours a day. We're going to do 12 hours a day so people can exist the next day.
Yeah.
I hadn't really seen that in charity events before them.
That's true. I mean, that's always kind of been one of the main ways of getting yourself out there is like, if we never stop streaming, there's never an opportunity that someone could miss us.
I think that's huge too, because that's like so good of them to just actually celebrate and then push forward that kind of healthy balance of taking care of yourself at a marathon too, just to avoid 65 hours straight of being awake.
I don't know how
that's
you do
not good
that.
for a human being.
I will share. I rarely share this story.
Please.
I think I've shared it on my stream a couple times. But at the end of that, at the end of being up 65 hours, we had a streaming computer and then like a gaming computer next to each other, and we needed to transfer one to like files from one to the other. And so I went to one computer and hit Control C, and I went to the other computer and I hit Control V, and I was like, "Why isn't this working? Like, this absolutely should work." So that is when I was told to go to bed and was not allowed back in the room to do any more work.
Oh man, have you ever been the person to sleep in the marathon room?
Maybe not in the marathon room, but I've been under some tables a few times. Yeah, there might be some pictures out there. Not only that, but also hot peppers thrown on top of me.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
Oh, the old days were fun.
Oh my God.
The old days when we could.
Hey, for me, this is like what, 8 years ago or something.
Yeah. I mean, back when we could like. We could get money at a charity marathon by saying like, "Hey, if you donate money, we'll slap this person." Violence like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah, the old days.
So a next question for you as we're wrapping up the end of the episode, and just I'd like to know if you have anything cool coming up at Direct Relief. If you have anything cool coming up, just you as a streamer, what's going on for you?
Yeah,
what's coming up that we can look forward to? Aside from Zeldathon, going to be fundraising for Direct Relief.
7 weeks.
Oh, and Metroid Marathon too. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna mention Metroid Marathon's currently going on right now for Direct Relief.
Wow.
Runaway Guys Coliseum, I believe, is May 7th. Brooke may need to correct me on that in post, but that's fine. I believe it's May 7th, and then Zeldathon in June. So yeah, it's a lot going on that front. But yeah, I also am doing my own personal stuff that I signed up for. I am a type 1 diabetic, so I decided I would raise for JDRF tomorrow as part of an event they're doing. They do diabetes research and community outreach to just help people with diabetes be able to have easier lives until a cure is found, is effectively the mission. Maybe not verbatim what they say, but that's effectively the mission. And
nice.
Yeah, the one I'm doing tomorrow is going to be a very fun endeavor against my chat. It's Romscout versus the world, where I try and take on 7 X speedrunning games of mine, and and I try and complete them under the same circumstance I've basically done my Zeldathon blocks on, which is $10. You can make me do whatever your heart desires for a minute, and I have to try and beat the game despite all of those donations coming in.
Oh no.
So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Nice.
And there will be crowd control involved as well. For anyone that doesn't know what that is, you edit the game live while I play it. So that'll be in the evening block with Castlevania.
Crowd control revolutionized Twitch. I'll say
yeah, absolutely. It's great.
The man is coming out of retirement, but for speedrunning. But I wonder how many of those runs you'll make it through. Truly.
Really? What games are you playing? I'm curious.
Oh, I mean, it's all games I've speedrun. We got some Mega Man X in there. We got like 4 Castlevania games. I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, of course, 4 Castlevania games for me. But
nice.
LADX will be the Zelda featured.
Nice.
And then for the Kirby game, because I had to pick at least one,
Of course.
I'm actually gonna do Kirby's Adventure instead of Superstar, only because I don't have my my amazing co-op partner who might be in this this call with us.
Oh.
She's not present for the event, so fortunately, gotta do a solo Kirby.
So, thank you again, Romscout, for joining us on First Time Donor, the podcast about doing good with what you have. And thank you to AJ, my fantastic co-host, and to everyone listening. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, you can find our recording anywhere where you find podcasts. You can follow the Zeldathon Twitch channel. We always have some fun stuff going on there. Get over in our Discord. There's always stuff going on. And follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, we do this every, the last Saturday of every month, right? I think so.
Yep,
Is today
always the
Saturday?
last Saturday.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, today's Saturday.
Glad the host knows the schedule.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so that's the recording section wrapped up, and now we'll go over to our Q&A. So we actually have questions coming in.
Yeah, I saw some people asking for it.
Excited.
I'm excited.
Oh man, we got actual questions.
Right? Cool. I know. We didn't get any questions last time, but that's all right. That won't be. I'll cut that out.
A reminder. We'll interact with chat now. So thank you everyone who's hanging out here. We can pop off. And our first question, I'll let you ask the second one, AJ.
Okay.
The first question is from Shasto and saying, how did all of you discover Zeldathon?
Oh, man.
You first, AJ. And oh man means there's a story coming.
All right. I kind of told this last time. We had a similar discussion during the last episode, but that's in the episode. This is post episode. This doesn't make the recording.
Oh, so. Okay, well, Chesto acknowledges you answered it last time, so there's that.
I did.
We didn't get your origin to Zeldathon.
That's true. Hit us with it. What you got?
All right. So, I mean, we were aware of the first Zeldathon that happened right before GDQ, even though all we did was watch it, right? So I knew about it over the years. I did keep up with charity events because, back then, it's like 5 of them, like less than 10 of them to keep track of, right? So it was pretty easy to know that Zeldathon existed and that it was still going.
Of course.
And then as we got later into the years and I worked at Twitch, they were having they wanted actually to make that step you're talking about, not have to make people give up their homes for an event. So they wanted to go into a hotel and needed some sponsorship money to do so. So at Twitch we're just like, well, we're probably the only way this is happening, and we believe in this event and it's cool. So
that's awesome.
It started a sponsorship with Zeldathon at that point, and that's where I really got to know MC. And I may have known Brooke already, like if he went to a GDQ before that, but otherwise, that's where I got to start to know them. And I didn't go to Zeldathon myself until Mission, as we've talked about.
Let's go
before.
Mission. Represent.
We're all Mission crew here.
We
are. The reason for that though was because I went to so many events, like the few first years I was at Twitch and was always on a busy schedule. I was like, I'm sorry, MC, like I'm just not able to fly out to Mars and and put on an event and stuff unless I at least have like a game that I can play in there and like be part of the event and like help raise in some way with what I know I can do, right? Unless I can help out directly and be able to make a difference, I'm just not gonna do it. But he was a little iffy for a while about giving a game to someone who is outside the core group at the time. So. Yeah. He took a little while to warm up to it, but eventually he did let me run LADX as my first game.
Nice, I remember that.
I've had so much fun, like just beyond whatever's on the schedule. I don't even need a game on the schedule ever on like any event I attend. But just like being important. Able to. No, I just don't feel I need to do that to contribute, right? So that's true. I just have so much fun. I just have so much fun getting to meet new people every time I go there, and because there's always like a little bit of a different crew. There's a core crew, but then there's always a few people who can only make it to one every once in a while, and it's always nice meeting people and kind of subjecting them to new games they've never played before. That's always
my god.
Sprites, Sanrio Smash Ball. Snoople's a god at these games, by the way.
He is. Oh my gosh.
Freya and Abra bring the what was it? The sound vortex machine. That was cool.
Man, you introduced
Vortex is a rhythm
era.
game I actually loved.
Yeah, you introduced a new era of chill room games to Zeldathon. You really did. What's the one? Oh my gosh, it's like a side by side like game that's kind of plays a little bit like Space Invaders in a weird way.
Oh,
it's
Twinkle Star Sprites.
Yes.
Twinkle Star Sprites. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That game frustrates me so much. Everyone on this planet is better at it than me.
The story of Rom always loving and boosting Twinkle Star Sprites expands to him then making a tournament of it at the GDQ that preceded that marathon.
I remember that.
It had 40 people in it.
Was this a money match?
No, it was just like for fun, like
For funsies.
community.
I mean, we love that.
Tournament, yeah. And we put the top 8 up on the huge projector. We just like didn't even ask anyone. We just took over the projector in the game room and then just like put our top 8 up there so people could like watch it from anywhere in the room.
That's awesome.
And listen to the commentary.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was fun.
Just pull it off with GDQ emeritus status.
Right.
So, Monika, your origin story.
Yeah.
I think we're on that, right?
Oh,
Or your
yeah, mine is obvious. Yeah, so I answered it last time, but the quick recap is through the VGM community was how I found out about Zeldathon, and then Zeldathon eventually even led me to Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
It was all back to music and nerding out about music.
We love that. I think it's funny how many people. No, I don't think it's funny. I think it's awesome how many people found Zeldathon through music, and it's like, wow, look at these 50 people playing instruments on 43 p.m. on New Year's Eve.
I think that was like one of my funniest things about Zeldathon is like just realizing how big the music has become a component to it too, because like we have the medleys happening and stuff, and then
So cool.
I remember when Romscout was playing his game blindfolded, we were like, hey, is it a good time for music? You're like, what? And then suddenly just a band starts beside you.
Is now a good time?
I think like
another classic was
amazing case.
Another classic was the Goron dancing game in Ages, and like the rhythm game, and like I never look at the screen when I play it. I always go by the sound because I just can't keep up with both the visuals and the audio with how fast it goes.
That's fair.
And so then MC was like, is it okay if we cut to the music? It's like, can we go like right after this? And he's like, all right, go. so I just got up after I failed like 3 times. I just got up and went to the bathroom and just like waited until the second was done.
Hey, but look at how far you've come now. You're hanging out and practicing your game while the musicians are practicing in the same room. So like it's trial by fire now. You're like, all right, if I can get through it in practice mode, I know we're going for the marathon.
How long until we get an extra like dedicated room at in-person Zeldathons for music? When does that happen?
Next
we
time.
need it in the same room.
Do you need it in the same room?
We need it in the same room to prep the runners for like so they truly know what they're getting into.
Hype them up.
Okay, so you don't think that them being next door adjacent is like the equivalent to being offset in another scene?
Right, yeah. I have a neighbor who plays
fair.
trombone. Like the wall doesn't do much.
Also the music crew, we know we all get rowdy when we're together.
Clinkett said maybe next summer in chat. Let's go.
Let's go.
Dropping those hints.
Please.
I think that about does it for us. But hey, as we mentioned earlier, Metroid Marathon is going on. They'd be pretty fun to raid.
True. Who's got that?
I don't know how to do the raid commands, but I know there's people here who know how to do it.
Yeah, I think that's why.
But yeah, the podcast streams are short, but short and sweet. But
Mhm.
thank you everyone for hanging out. Thank you again, Rom, for letting us rope you in and putting you in the hot seat for questions and behind the scenes tidbits about stuff over the years.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always fun hanging out with Zeldathon peeps.
Oh yeah. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. And as always, what's my outro again? Hang on. I came up with this last episode. What was that again? It was like something about Oh! All right. Let me try that again. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, it is never too late to be a first-time donor.
I think you're gonna record that again later.
I don't know what you're talking about.